You are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. As we come out of our series on the Beatitudes, Jesus goes right into a second introduction to his sermon, and it really pulls together all the ideas of this countercultural beatitude. You're blessed if you live counterculturally. How do you do that? Jesus gives two metaphors, salt and light, salt and light. Now, for us, salt is an additive to make food taste good. That's not what it was for them. In fact, for the ancient world, salt was so valuable that sometimes they used it as exchange for money. Why was salt so valuable? Because they didn't have electricity. And if you don't have electricity, then you can't keep your food cold in a refrigerator. If you can't keep your food cold in a refrigerator and you are food insecure already, then you need a way of preserving food. Now, how do you preserve food? Salt. We've known this for thousands of years. So salt became a precious, precious, precious resource to preserve food. So when Jesus says, you're the salt of the earth, you know what he's saying? He's not saying you flavor the earth. He's not saying, oh, go put up a Christian slogan and go, have a bumper sticker. Somebody will read it, go, oh, that's nice, CCV bumper sticker, yay. No, it's not about sprinkling a little bit. It's about inundating a culture with the presence of people of God. We are the preservation for our culture. I don't think I have to convince you of that right now. When we have difficulty even defining marriage or sexuality or truth, we need the people of God to not yell the word of God, not post it on posters, not go to social media warriors. We need to live the word of God in such an inundated way that people come to us for their lives to be preserved. There are people in your neighborhood right now, their marriages will not be preserved without the people of God inundating them. That their children will not be preserved. Their mental health will not be preserved. We are preservative. We're not flavor. We are preservatives for a world. And Jesus says if salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? A little kind of scientific fact. Salt, sodium chloride, cannot be unsalted. The sodium chloride is one of the most stable chemicals we have on the planet, and it cannot be So how does salt become unsalty? Was Jesus just didn't quite know science? No. Salt became unsalty because unscrupulous marketers. Remember, it was a form of money. And a lot of times what they would do is go down to the Dead Sea, the most dense area for chemicals on the planet, even to this day. And they would gather salt from the sea. But there were other white substances that were not salt that they would mix in with the salt to make more bulk. Now, it wasn't good salt. It was less salty. Not because salt can be unsalted, but because salt can be mixed with other seemingly salt-like chemicals. Here's the point. If you're unsalty, it's not because you've changed, it's because what's been added to you. And so many Christians in our culture have added to their faith a job, and added to their faith entertainment, and added to their faith all of these hobbies and social media and streaming services. Our saltiness can only preserve if we're focused. Now, I'm not saying you don't have any possessions and you go out in a robe like John the Baptist and preach on street corner. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying if you look like the world and add worldly things to your life so that you are not recognizably distinct, then you will lose your power to preserve your culture. Second metaphor he gives is a light on a hill. If you've been to Israel, you kind of stay on the kind of western shore of the Lake of Galilee, and at night you can look across, and on a clear evening, you can see the smallest light on the other side. There's not a lot of light pollution, and even a small flicker is recognizable against the darkest backdrop of the night. You don't have to be great in your occupation, your vocation, your skills, talents, or your media presence. The darker we get, the smallest of lights will be visible from afar. Don't cover your light. Don't mix your salt. If you purely stand for who Christ is, then we can truly preserve a dark world. It's never been more needed than now. And that's something worth talking about.